The amount of trauma, the amount of death, the amount of drama that's happening to us on a daily basis. We're being bombarded. You know, the people in Gaza are being physically bombarded. I mean, you know that, I mean, when I say bombarded, you can't even say it. You can't even imagine the kind of blood and trauma and pain and torture and death and havoc, and you can't even imagine it. You can't say, I have an idea what they're going through. No, you don't have an idea. You can't really know hunger. You cannot really know suffering. You can't really know trauma unless you're there. You're only seeing the pictures. And you're being bombarded every day by the pictures, the photos, the images of the children and the women and the bodies, you know, and all of that there. And what can we do about it? I mean, we can pray, and that's what we need to do. We need to pray and pay. That's what I tell Muslims. You know, the occupation of Palestine was a crime that took place 75 years ago. Now, whatever happened since that crime was committed cannot be as great as the crime that was committed from the very beginning, when some people's land was invaded and taken and occupied, and then after that justified. And then the people who was the owners of the land, they become the hunted. They become the alienated. They become called criminals and terrorists and all that. And perhaps some of their behavior could seem to reflect that, but that's not equal to the original crime. Let's put that into perspective. Okay. Now, what do young people do under these circumstances where you're being bombarded? Every 2 or 3 images that you look at on social media is children, bodies. And I mean, like, you're talking about maybe 200 a day. Innocent people, women, children, babies, bombs, bodies mangled. You know, bodies not even found, just blowed up, splattered. All you can see is bones and blood, and those bodies that are still intact, you know, wrapped every day and laid on the street because people don't even have time to bury them. They're dying so fast, the bombs. So what do we do about that? How do we live? How do we sleep? How do we deal with that trauma? I think that if all of us was to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning individually in the dark and there's nobody else there, and we washed and stood and prayed for a half an hour for Palestine, for Gaza, for the men, women, and children, many who are just totally innocent. If we would get up and pray for them, Allah will hear our prayer because He is Sami'ul Alim. He will hear our prayer, our individual prayer. We don't have to be marching with 10,000 people, 50,000 people, 100,000 people. That's easy to do. But getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning and making a special prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will hear that prayer of that single person. And that single person who is sincere, that single person who is clean-hearted, that single person who cries to Allah, Allah may answer them before He even answers the people in Gaza themselves. We don't know. We don't know whose prayer is better than others. That's one thing we can do. And Allah, He answers the prayers of young people faster